The rediscovery of ancient science, after the devastating losses from events like the sack of the Library of Alexandria, is one of the most fascinating episodes in intellectual history. The Library of Alexandria, established in the 3rd century BCE, was a center of learning and a repository for thousands of texts covering mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. While it is difficult to pinpoint a single moment or event that led to the library's destruction, its decline over several centuries, compounded by attacks and neglect, led to a great loss of knowledge. This left much of the Western world in intellectual darkness for a significant period. Nevertheless, the seeds of classical scientific thought survived in various forms and places, leading to a rebirth of learning centuries later. A crucial element in the preservation and later rediscovery of ancient science was the Byzantine Empire, particularly the scholarly work of the Eastern Roman or Byzantine scholars. As Western Europe entered the so-called Dark Ages, the Byzantine Empire remained a beacon of continuity for classical knowledge. Constantinople, the capital of Byzantium, hosted scholars who kept alive many Greek and Roman works. However, the texts were not just preserved in Greek. Many of them found their way to regions outside the Byzantine sphere, especially to Persia and the broader Islamic world, where they became foundational to a rich scientific and philosophical tradition. The role of Persia, and more broadly, the Islamic Golden Age, cannot be overstated in this context. Around the 8th and 9th centuries, a concerted effort was made to gather, translate, and expand upon the ancient scientific corpus. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad, established during the Abbasid Caliphate, served as an intellectual center where scholars translated ancient Greek, Persian, and Indian texts into Arabic. These translations were not merely linguistic transfers, but also involved significant commentaries and expansions by Islamic scholars such as Al-Farabi, Al-Kindi, and Al-Razi. This period saw a flourishing of knowledge in fields like medicine, astronomy, and mathematics, which had profound implications for the future of science. A lesser-known but equally important development occurred in Persia's monastic communities. One example is the Nestorian Christian monastery at Jundishapur in modern-day Iran. This center became a unique intellectual hub where Christian, Persian, Indian, and Greek scholars shared and developed knowledge. Medical texts and philosophical works were studied and translated here, contributing to the survival and transmission of ancient science. The monastery at Jundishapur provided a model for how Greek science and medicine could be synthesized with Eastern learning, setting the stage for Islamic scholars to build on and refine these ideas. The knowledge preserved and enriched in the Islamic world began to make its way back into Europe during the High Middle Ages, largely through Spain. Al-Andalus, a region in the Iberian Peninsula under Islamic rule, became a critical crossroads of cultural and intellectual exchange. The city of Córdoba, for instance, boasted vast libraries and a cosmopolitan atmosphere where Christians, Muslims, and Jews engaged in scholarly pursuits. By the 12th century, the translations of Arabic scientific texts into Latin began in earnest, often facilitated by scholars in cities like Toledo. Figures such as Gerard of Cremona played a pivotal role in translating the works of Aristotle, Euclid, and Ptolemy, which had traveled through a complex chain from Greek to Arabic and finally into Latin. These translations had a transformative impact on Europe. The reintroduction of ancient Greek and Roman scientific works, now supplemented with Islamic advancements, triggered a period of intense scholarly activity. European universities, which started forming in the 12th and 13th centuries, began to incorporate these texts into their curricula, sparking debates and inspiring further inquiry. Scholars like Thomas Aquinas, who sought to reconcile Aristotelian philosophy with Christian theology, are a testament to this growing engagement. The translation movement also laid the groundwork for scientific advancements in the later Renaissance, paving the way for figures such as Copernicus, Galileo, and Newton. The story of how ancient science was rediscovered is, therefore, one of cultural exchange, preservation, and synthesis. It showcases a long and interconnected journey through different civilizations, each contributing to the legacy of knowledge. While Europe eventually emerged as the scientific leader in the modern era, this would not have been possible without the Byzantine guardians of knowledge, the Islamic scholars who advanced and preserved it, and the translators who reintroduced it to a curious and evolving Europe. This historical narrative reminds us of the value of preserving and sharing knowledge across cultures and generations.